Good afternoon and welcome to the latest issue of Print21, the weekly video news bulletin for the Australia and the New Zealand print industries. This issue is sponsored by Ball and Doggett, Australia's largest supplier of printable materials and of press room consumables. It's been a huge week for the Australian print industry in terms of news. 3 out of 4 print businesses in the country are currently suffering from labour shortages. That's according to an industry-wide survey carried out by the Employers Association, PVCA, Print and Visual Communication Association. The results of the Industry Skills Report, they reveal that print is struggling with labour supply and skills needs across all sectors of the industry. That includes the survey results came from commercial printers, signage, wide format, labels, packaging and distribution. The report highlights the majority of the industry have various job vacancies open, 76% of respondents stating their vacancies within their businesses. And of those, 27% of those vacancies, 27% have been open for 11 weeks, 40% have been open for more than 15 weeks, 4 months. The majority of those open positions, some 58%, they're for printing machinist and finishing roles. In other words, roles which requires strong technical competency. Most print businesses reported receiving between 1 to 5 applications for advertised roles. However, and concerningly, the majority of respondents, in fact almost all at 94%, voiced discontent with the skills and experience levels of the majority of applicants. And they said that's causing more delays in filling the roles. Kelly Northwood, CEO at PVCA, said, "We need to build an attraction, a retention, an upskilling program for our industry to revitalise our workflow availability or workforce availability with the priority. This is not a one-off quick fix, rather we're looking at the holistic approach, from school leavers looking for career options to older workers looking to upskill, engagement of new employment channels, attracting women into the workforce and working with our existing workforce on strengthening their professional growth opportunities within our industry." One place skills are not going to be required, sadly, is the Maryvale Mill in Victoria, in regional Victoria there. Owner Opal has just made the final decision to stop the manufacturing of white pulp and paper at its Latrobe Valley site. And that spells the sad end of paper making in Australia. Some 200 staff in regional Victoria will lose their jobs and around 200,000 tonnes of uncoated wood-free stock and copier paper will now need to be imported in order to make up for the shortfall, a deficit that will happen because of the stopping there. The mill's closure, or the closure of the paper making line, has been forced by green activists persuading a Supreme Court judge that logging in Victoria's forests was detrimental to a rare possum. Loggers who supplied almost all the mill's logs had to stop work, and that left the mill without supply and there are no viable alternatives. It's a log to paper business. State-owned Vic Forest has the rights to manage the state's forest, and in return it gets to log about 0.1% of the trees each year, most of which it claims are either fallen, a bushfire risk or stifling growth in the forest. Printed paper manufacturing at the mill stopped the day before Christmas Eve. Hasn't started and now it's gone for good. That was the point, it ran out of logs. The company had been producing some 200,000 tonnes of white paper each year, split roughly split 50-50 between UWF copier grades, UWF and copier grades. Mail monopoly, Australia Post, has been losing $1 million a day on its letters business in the first half of the year and says it is experiencing significant ongoing headwinds. Letters losses reached $190 million in the 6 months of December, an increase of 171% from the prior corresponding period. Letters revenue at $882 million for the 6 months now represents just 18.8% of Australia Post revenue. That group revenue overall is $4.7 billion. It was down 2.5% on the first year, and that was largely driven by an ongoing decline in letter volumes. Australia Post claims that by 2030, households will only receive an average of 1 letter a week. Australia Post letter strategy, though, has baffled and bothered and bewildered the print and mail industry for a number of years. With the industry saying that AusPost raised the prices and cut services policy would inevitably lead to serious decline in its letters business, which is proven to be the case. However, Luke Purcell amplified the views of many. General Manager of Active Mail is among those in the industry very frustrated by Australia Post's outlook. He said the notion that letters are doomed is nonsense. Bulk mail in particular has a very strong future, certainly if current trends are anything to go by. We've never been busier, and that's reflected across mailing houses we've talked to across the country. In other news, trade operations, Sydney Print Media has installed a new HP Latex R flatbed print system. That's from supplier Selmac. It's the third of its type the business has put in just within the last 2 years. Metamark, the media distributed by Ball and Dog, wrapping media mainly, and renowned Australian motor racing team Erebus Motorsport have renewed their sponsorship partnership for the Australian Supercars Championship. Let's have some victories there, boys. And congratulations to the specialist operation Print2Metal, because from all the printing metal companies in the world, Print2Metal, based in Melbourne, has been chosen to print the photos from the award-winning World Photographic Competition, World Photographic Cup, in metal. A remarkable accolade for the Melbourne-based business. That's it for this week's Plate Print21, coming to you from the headquarters of Australia Post. Go to print21.com.au for all these stories and more. Thanks to our sponsor Ball and Doggett. This is Wayne Robinson, editor of Print21, signing off for another week.